When you start preparing your Canada PR application, or when you start the process of creating your Express Entry profile, one of the first things that you need in your hand uh, is your education evaluation and your language test. In this video, I'll talk about English language test. So these language tests is something that you need to do even before your profile is created, and you need all the identification numbers and everything for creating your profile. Currently, for language, there are two tests which are accepted by IRCC, and which is CELPIP or IELTS. CELPIP stands for Canadian English Language Proficiency Index Program, and IELTS is International English Language Testing System. CELPIP is a Canadian specific language test, and IELTS is an international thing done by British Council. In this video, I will try and cover my personal opinion on why I chose CELPIP over IELTS while doing my language test. I hope this information will help you in doing your decision. As I told you, there are two options of taking the test, of taking your English language test for IRCC, CELPIP and IELTS. The main thing that you need to be aware on in both of these tests is that in both of these tests you need to take the general test. So you just need to go and register with the individual websites on the general test. The first thing that you need to be aware is a test format of these tests. So let's talk first about CELPIP. I'll not talk about the cost in this video because the cost is not a big deciding factor in my personal opinion. They are almost similar. CELPIP might be a few dollars cheap, but still the reason for going with CELPIP was not the cost. Okay, so the CELPIP test is about 3 hours of test, and the general test has 4 sections: a listening section, a reading section, a writing section, and a speaking section. The first 3 sections are almost an hour long, and the last section is pretty quick, of around 15 to 20 minutes. So you should expect somewhere between 3 and 3.5 hours of your time when you are giving your CELPIP test. Similar to this, in IELTS also, there are 4 sections: a reading section, writing section, listening section, and speaking section. Here also, those 2 sections are almost 30-60 minutes. Listening section is 30 minutes, and speaking section is around 11 to 14 minutes. So this turns out to be IELTS turns out to be a bit shorter in terms of time duration. However, CELPIP, when you're doing CELPIP is totally online, which means that you will go in the examination center, sit in front of a computer, and complete all these sections in one go. IELTS, however, well, you can say it's an advantage or a disadvantage. You can take this test either on a paper or on a computer. Okay, so that's a flexibility given by IELTS. In CELPIP, everything is online. However, even if you choose to give a test on a paper or a computer, those would be applicable only to first 3 sections, right? The last section is a face-to-face section with an examiner or with a person. Now, here is where I find CELPIP to be better than IELTS. In CELPIP, you complete the speaking section in front of a computer, right? So there is no particular person watching you. You are not seeing his face. You are not seeing how he's reacting to how you are speaking, right? I have known many people who get very conscious of giving an English language test in front of a person and trying to judge their performance by their expressions and how they are talking and how they are speaking and how they are looking. That can further cause your issues in giving the speaking language test. You have to remember, speaking test is not a very long test, because ideally you cannot speak for 60 minutes or 30 minutes, right, in one go. So speaking section in both of the CELPIP IELTS, you will see, is around 15 minutes, 11 to 14 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes is max in each of the tests. So as far as test duration is concerned, both of the speaking you have to do the same amount of speaking, but IELTS you have to do with a person, and CELPIP you will just record your voice in a computer, and there you go, you are done. So I found CELPIP to be much easier on the speaking section. Even though I can speak very well, still I went with CELPIP because of the computer option. Plus, in CELPIP you can complete all the sections in one day. With IELTS I have heard that the last section you might have to go another day for doing the test, depending on the availability of the examiner, right? So that thing is not a problem in CELPIP. Okay, next point. Why I found CELPIP advantageous is that the CELPIP website itself has a lot of practice material. You don't need to specifically go any kind of classes or any kind of courses for CELPIP. You can do that, but it's not required. I have many of my friends have taken have just followed the content available here, and they have been able to complete the CELPIP test. I personally got all 10s and 11s in my CELPIP test. So if you go here on the preparation side, you will see a lot of free resources, and these webinars and workshops, these are really useful. I have found these to be really useful. There are a lot of webinars available on YouTube. So they have a YouTube channel, and you will see a lot of the official CELPIP organization has a YouTube channel. It's not like CELPIP done by few other independent YouTubers. The CELPIP guys, they have a long YouTube programs of hour long, explaining each of the sections, what you need to do, what is expected, how you should prepare, and things like that. So it's a very easy format, so you don't have to worry about anything. For IELTS, it's done by British Council, much more commercial. There are a lot of courses available, and I have heard people taking those courses, spending money on that, and then taking the IELTS test and succeeding in that. So there is nothing wrong with that. It's just that CELPIP is another option which will help you a lot. Another point, if you have been to Canada, if you are already in Canada, I think CELPIP makes a lot more sense, because in all the contents, the listening, the reading, the writing, the speaking, the context is very Canadian. So you know how you say, if you are listening to a passage, the accent of the person is very Canadian. It's like the person you hear every time on the road. Reading, writing, the things that you're reading about, you will be able to identify as somebody who has experience in Canada. IELTS is an international test. It's done by British Council. It's not specific to Canada. So some of the context or some of the references might be alien to you, which might hamper in any of your, say, writing test, right? So when you're writing, you have some experiences here in Canada. If you get a writing assignment based on those experiences, something that you have experienced, it would be easier for you to write. I'm not saying you will not be able to write if you are, say, given a passage about Australia, but still, given that time constraint, you should be able to make the best of that time constraint, right? So if you are given 4 hours of writing, then go ahead. Like, I have no issues with that. But all these sections are time limited, so you should be able to make the best use of it. So this is another thing I found very useful with CELPIP. If you want to understand in details of each of these sections, I'll just take a pause, put some screenshots here for listening, for reading, for writing, and for speaking on CELPIP, on what is included and what is not included in these tests, so it can help you. Okay, so yeah, that's it from my side for this video. I hope this will help some of you in making that decision on which test to take. Both of these tests are equally good. They are equally available everywhere, almost everywhere in the world. You can book them as easily online as any other test. So as far as the ease of taking the test, these tests are comparable. Even the cost is comparable. I don't see a cost as a problem on these tests. So yeah, I hope if you have any questions, reach out to me on the comments and I will try and answer that. And I hope this video will help you in deciding your CELPIP and IELTS test and then prepare for it. If you want me to put a video on a specific preparation mode for CELPIP, I can only help on CELPIP because I did that test. Let me know. I can prepare a video on that also, on how to prepare for your CELPIP, and then go from there. Okay. So thank you for listening.